Yeah, we've been working to get mainnet out of the gate, which is now 7 or 8 days old, and that's been the biggest milestone to date. Um, I I was previously in Web2 tech startups and doing corporate consulting with big global companies, and um, was kind of disenchanted by how slow things move in big enterprises, and was very fascinated by blockchain, open source, the incentive alignment in crypto, and forming DAOs like Farmer DAO and all the great work that you guys are doing. So this is a much more exciting space, and um, I wanted to find a project that was public, decentralized, that would become a DAO. And the zetachain value prop was very intriguing. So bit of background on myself. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot.
Oh, sorry.
Please,
My
yeah.
turn, I guess. So my name is Dennis. I have been contributor to the Cosmos ecosystem since 2019, um, and since April 23, I've been contributing to ZetaChain. So I've been focusing primarily on developer experience, which includes tooling for developers, tutorials, documentation, um, DevRel, pretty much anything that improves the lives of developers building on ZetaChain. So yeah, as Jonathan mentioned, we just recently launched mainnet. Super exciting. So yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you. We are happy to have you here. Happy to have the discussion which is upcoming. Pleasure meeting you. And I am confident here are many members of our community which were also quite early and already for some years with zetachain. So let's start with the questions. To be fair to the members, I prepared many of them. And the first question is sometimes very typical, but I'm confident that majority of everybody who joined here, they know already about zetachain, and that's one of the reasons why they actually here. We have already 242 numbers participants, and still, if somebody is here new, could you please introduce zetachain like to your grandmother? Very shortly, briefly, similar, and we will start from it.
Sure, I guess I can start. I always prefer technical kind of deep dives into how things work, but I'll try to explain as simply as I can. So as long as your grandma understands what a blockchain is, you've noticed probably that there are hundreds, thousands of popular blockchains these days, right? And users have assets on all these chains, and they have their favorite dApps on different chains. So what ZetaChain provides is this connectivity layer between all these blockchains, allowing users to seamlessly move assets between the chains. But not only that, it allows users to interact with any dApps from any chain, from any other blockchain, right? So as an example, you might be a Bitcoin user, for example, and you want to uh, engage in DeFi activities. So you can do that with ZetaChain. So the infrastructure that connects all these dApps together and provides this seamless experience no matter which chain you are using, that's what ZetaChain is all about.
And I can take a stab. um, the analogy being that your grandma might use the internet, but um, she might take for granted that everybody has access to the same websites, even if you use a different web browser. People have been using email for a while and sending messages, and you can have Gmail and different clients. And so I think In Web3, things are a lot more fragmented because everybody is on different blockchains. And so if you're building a web application, there's no really good way to do that right now, such that you can access users everywhere. So zetachain is an L1 blockchain, and it's enabling a better way to build apps for this multi-chain environment that we're living in.
Fantastic, thank you. It's a great start, and also want to recognize that when the technical person can explain very simple in the simple words, it also speaks about the professionalism of the team. But also for all our listeners, I would like to say that it's our third MA session this year which we have, and honestly, from my experience, this is one of the most well prepared. As usually, yeah, all of them are very interesting, but I enjoyed from my side as being the host here of the way how the team from the zetachain they prepared for the session. It was really highly professional. So I'm confident that's why everything what they are doing is also on the very high level. And we continue with the questions. So just a reminder, if you would like to drop your questions, don't drop them into the comments, but drop them into the special Google form, which is available on the page of Farmers DAO. You can find it in the pinned message. So, and your question might win the special reward, and all the participants will get also the reward from the Zeta team. You will probably find out about it a little bit later. And we continue. It's a good, we warmed up, so we are ready to go with the next question. So what makes zetachain special from other layer ones?
I guess the focus on interoperability is what makes it special. So with other layer ones, the way from a developer's point of view, for example, when you deploy a dApp to a specific L1, you primarily get the users from that L1, right? Your project scope is kind of limited to that specific blockchain. Of course, you can use bridges, right? And you can move assets, but that's additional barriers for your users. With zetachain, that's not the case, right? So instead of deploying to a specific L1 and just staying there, kind of locked in to that ecosystem, with zetachain, if you deploy to zetachain, you get all the users from all the connected chains, right? So the audience of your dApp multiplies um, by 4 right now, but it's going to be much more as we connect more chains. So this is both important for developers because you just have one contract to worry about, right? The whole state of your dApp resides on a single chain. But at the same time, of course, it's hugely important for users because they don't have to explicitly go through bridges, know about them. They can use the chain that they prefer, but at the same time, if they want to engage in an app that is not deployed on their chain, or they want to do some cross-chain operations, like, they can easily do that. And I think we will see more and more cross-chain apps. Like, almost all applications could benefit from this added layer of interoperability, be it a DEX or any DeFi app, NFT app. I mean, you name it, right? Anything can really benefit from interoperability between chains.
Yeah, and I would underscore the point Dennis is making about omni-chain smart contracts. So this is one place of logic where you deploy your app, and as a developer, you don't have to worry about the overhead of doing integrations with tons of disparate chains and then managing all of that app logic. And zetachain is providing a single state system on top of which you can deploy this app. And I think developers see the zetachain ecosystem as a partner in helping support new chains in the future that will benefit them. And from a user standpoint, you can use Zeta apps, these omni-chain apps from zetachain, or BSC, or Ethereum, or even Bitcoin, a non-smart contract chain. So whatever chain you desire and like, you can still reside on that chain, and you can use whatever wallet you want to call the omni-chain smart contract. And then lastly, I would underscore that there is no wrapping or locking tokens on zetachain in the traditional sense, like bridges and locking assets in a smart contract. Zetachain doesn't deal with that, so there's a lot of security benefits as well.
And let's build a little bit more on this. It's the advantages totally understandable for developers and for the users. And how would you deal with the fact that users, majority of them, they got used to one primary blockchain and they might be addicted to one specific blockchain. And here, of course, they are getting much more advantages, but you know how the people are changing, more difficult. And one of the current challenges of the whole crypto space is to bring even new people, for what I think zetachain matches perfectly. But for those, how do you tackle the issue for those users who already are getting used? For example, they were all their life on Ethereum or on BSC, and why they would prefer to switch to zetachain?
That's actually a great example of why they would use zetachain. See, when a user is on Bitcoin, for example, right? Like they're very conservative. They bought Bitcoin. They're holding on to it. They're not doing much with it because it's, well, Bitcoin, right? It doesn't have much in terms of DeFi or anything really. So let's say they want to put their BTC, do something with it. With zetachain, what they can do is they can put BTC into a contract that generates yield for them without leaving the wallet that they're used to, right? So they don't need to sign up for a zetachain wallet. They don't need to get Zeta for gas, none of that, right? They don't need to even leave their wallet. So that's the advantage. That's the user experience that zetachain provides, is that users that only know about their chain and prefer not to know about anything else, they can still engage in dApps that don't exist on their chain. And I think that's hugely important for Bitcoin. And that level of user experience is what kind of separates zetachain from many other solutions, where you would have to, as a user, bridge your tokens to a different chain explicitly, have a wallet on the chain you bridged tokens to, know how it works, right? And essentially assume the risks that go along with all these admittedly difficult and risky operations. So with zetachain, you can avoid that and provide much better user experience.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. All right, and meanwhile, we are almost 300 people on the MA session. For those who just recently joined, I remind you, we have amazing zetachain today with us, and now we are talking about the advantages for developers, but also for the users of using of zetachain. And while we discuss it, and there are quite many advantages, what are your plans? It's one of the very popular questions which is being asked quite often during the MA sessions and going from one to another team, because as mentioned, the challenges are usually the same. But what are your marketing strategy? How are you going to onboard as much users as possible using zetachain, and specifically onboard those users who are new to crypto, or maybe even have heard something about it but would like to start?
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on. And at the end of the day, relating to the last question you asked, it's all about just providing cheaper, better, faster products and utilities. Um, from a business standpoint, we want to make it really easy for people to try out zetachain and experience these omni-chain dApps. So people who have been following us have seen all of the incentivized wallet campaign partnerships, um, ecosystem incentives like the grant program, which we want to scale up in a really big way. So that's something we're working through. There's the whole XP program, which um, got off to a little bit of a rough start because there was so much attention and traffic on zetachain after launch. But we're working on some RPC load issues, and that's being resolved. So we've always, like for the past couple of years, doing a ton of different things to drive user traffic and help people experience these apps. And if we can provide real utility, then people will stay, and we'll have true users. So
I cannot agree with it. Absolutely, I can sign out under the every word. And while you mentioned about the rough start, and this is something what we began with as you launched to the mainnet recently. So maybe let's talk about it a little bit. So how was the launch? How do you consider it? What did you like it? What are what are the some improvements points after it which you maybe have?
for sure, yeah. And let me just say, I sit in a unique, fun position on the community side where I get to hear the echo chamber of things that have gone wrong and negative feedback, and that's part of the job. And I help shield the engineers and developers, and the community has been super helpful in reporting bugs and stuff on mainnet beta. At the end of the day, though, the core contributors, including myself, feel really good about the launch. Like, the network has been producing blocks with no downtime. It's just been the RPC scaling issue and other stuff, of course, as well. But this is a good dilemma to have. Like, it's good for people to be talking about you, and there's a ton of attention. Um, Over 700,000 users on Zeta Hub, so the support has been pretty amazing.
And this is what I also wanted to mention, that probably it's the positive issues. And this is why I like crypto, because the people are very open. Actually, usually not only in crypto, people complain more than they share good words. And I believe you deserve a lot of good words, as I'm also user of zetachain. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's a good dilemma you have, and I am confident that it's the minor issues which are going to be solved on the way because of your priorities and of your focuses. So,
Thanks. Yeah.
what are your yeah, please.
I might just add, like, it's important to learn too. And like, I'll just let you in a little bit on the background about XP, which was that product was designing it to be a daily cadence, or sorry, a weekly cadence initially. And the contributors on the ecosystem side trying to close new integrations and build up app partners, kind of push product to move to this daily cadence at the last minute, which we launched with, and that contributed to some of the load issues, and that was definitely a learning experience.
But it's great having this possibility also to learn on the way. and to collect the feedback. And good that people are contributing. Again, better to have big number of the users in such issues than no users. So when we were coming to the next questions, and I know that you have like very ambitious plans. So share with us, what are your current high-level focuses?
Sure, I can share on the technical side, primarily. So we have launched mainnet with 3 chains: Ethereum, BSC, and Bitcoin. We have Polygon support on testnet, so we are gonna be adding more chains to this network because the whole idea is to connect as many chains as possible. So right now, the system for adding EVM chains has been kind of thought out and polished, right? So it's easier to add EVM chains, but the architecture of zetachain allows adding pretty much anything, right? Since we've added Bitcoin, there's really no limit on what can be added, what can be connected through zetachain. So adding more chains is one. Another focus is adding support for NFTs, because right now omni-chain contracts are primarily for fungible tokens. You can still do some NFT dApps with omni-chain contracts. For example, if you deploy an NFT contract on zetachain, it can accept inputs from other chains, right? You can accept BTC as input, for example, and mint NFTs. So you can't do that right now, but what we want to go for, kind of make a next step and make proper omni-chain NFTs that includes Bitcoin. So that's something we have on the roadmap. And a bit more technical is being able to call contracts from zetachain. So right now you can call omni-chain contracts deployed on zetachain from connected chains and pass tokens and arbitrary data. But we want to take this further and make sure that omni-chain contracts can in turn call contracts on other blockchains. So, of course, there are many things we have in store for in terms of developer experience, but kind of on high level protocol side of things, I think these are the main ones.
Yeah, all of that stuff Dennis mentioned is really exciting, and I push the contributors on protocol and developers. I want them to build all of it right now, but I also understand that you have to do it in a secure way. So the approach of zetachain continues to be very conservative, and you see this with the liquidity caps for ZRC20, so cross-chain value movement, and we're working on setting up the governance process for whitelisting of new assets. Right now, it's just maybe 5 or 6 of the highly used ones, native gas assets and stable coins. But yeah, that stuff Dennis mentioned will be pretty game changing. But also, the mainnet instance that we launched, Beta, is an incredibly powerful platform, and it supports the omni-chain smart contract primitive. So on the business side, we're very much focused on building a massive ecosystem around that, and we're rethinking or evaluating like what are the really important omni-chain dApps. We've been talking about it for a while, but we need to continue to get feedback from developers and users about what they care about. We think 80% of the focus should be on these omni-chain dApps for different core use cases. Initially, more DeFi, and then when omni-chain smart contracts support NFTs, like Dennis mentioned, we can do more fun stuff around media, art, and all of that stuff. And then 20% of the time, we're thinking of focusing on experimental, viral social apps like dating apps. There's some stuff happening behind the scenes and stuff that will help capture people's attention on zetachain's EVM itself.
Sounds very exciting, and looking forward to it, and contributing also with some small voices. Well, then let's continue. What is the strategy of the ecosystem of going forward?
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit previously about the strategy. Yeah, in DeFi, so all of these apps that we know and use, like payments and swaps, lending and borrowing, yield aggregation, all of that can be built as an omni-chain smart contract and provide a lot of benefits. And then also we're focused on verticals like social, consumer, gaming, collectibles, all of that stuff. And then particularly the native Bitcoin integration is pretty unique, and there's a lot of attention on that ecosystem, and zetachain can do a lot for developers that want to build Bitcoin smart contracts and involve native Bitcoin in their apps, beyond just swapping like a Thorchain type app, programming all sorts of applications that use Bitcoin.
Perfect. Yeah, and it really makes very unique about the possibility of native Bitcoin integration, something what has not been before in the industry, and yeah, it's I think one of the key points of bringing a lot of attention and of the potential ahead. Okay, good. So, what is the purpose of Zeta Hub, and what would be the future of XP program?
Yeah, so part of the mission of zetachain is to do our part in onboarding new crypto users and growing the user base of Web3. It's not just all about exposing existing users to what's possible. So the goal of Zeta Hub is to be this onboarding portal into crypto, like a sort of base camp. And this is a way to interact with fundamental features of the network itself, like send and stake and pooling and governance. The homepage just went live a few days ago, you might have seen, so you can see holdings and a view of transactions, news about zetachain, like updates and stuff. And product wants to continue making that more robust and adding new utilities and build other products too. But Zeta Hub is that first entry point that obviously came with launching mainnet 8 days ago. And then the XP point system, this is different from Zeta points on Zeta Labs, you'll recall, because XP points is actually on chain. So, yeah, we want to open source that primitive and make that available to apps in the ecosystem to build their own communities. And in addition to that, it's zetachain's sort of loyalty perks program. And I envision that evolving in a fun and interesting way. Like it could lead to merch, maybe discounts on certain apps. We'll see how it evolves, but that's the thinking behind it. It's a way to track mainnet usage.
It's very interesting. Already waiting to know more when you will have such a features and how it will work and look like. So also about yeah, please.
I'll add, like I mentioned, zetachain has done a lot of stuff to drive step function growth and do fun and interesting things, which you got to do in crypto. Underneath it all is this omni-chain value proposition and really strong technology and focus on building all of these new game-changing features. With Zeta Points, we were kind of the first to market with this new proprietary point system, and now you see every project on third-party tools like Galaxy and Zeely and all that stuff, and building their own point system. I think the big innovation with XP is that it's this on-chain indexing primitive, and if we can successfully open source that, and instead of apps spending development time on their own point systems, if they can align to zetachain's XP system, I think there's a lot of value to be had around that.
Surely. Okay, and the mainnet was big and it brought a lot of attention, and it's also some kind of a big event for which you've been preparing for a long time. Community was waiting for some time. And what are other events which you are planning to hold, and what would be the next big event?
Yeah, so we want to continue doing, like, having a huge global presence. What are some things that are coming up? Dubai in April. I heard DevConnect is in Thailand. Vietnam Blockchain Week. This would be our first time going, and there's huge opportunity in that market. Brussels for ETH Global. All while we want to continue doing fun social meetups in all the big crypto markets. The next big thing is ETH Denver. And if anyone listening is going to Denver, we're doing our Omni-Chain Day. We're calling it. It'll be a day full of workshops and panel speakers from other prominent projects and demos of Zeta apps. And this is pretty cool. It's like the first legit event that zetachain is hosting where there are different sponsorship tiers, and we've done stuff like that in the past, and we've hosted parties and stuff, but this is like a real zetachain day. It's called Omni-Chain Day, and we'll release more information about that. It'll be on February 28th at ETH Denver.
And
So,
also,
please.
just wanted to add, if you're a developer, you might be interested in the campaigns we're hosting with StackUp, where you can learn how to build on zetachain and earn while you learn. So yeah, it's a great way to start learning how to build omni-chain dApps. The campaign that is on its way right now is focused on cross-chain messaging, and the next one is going to be on omni-chain contracts with emphasis on NFTs and front end. If this is something you're interested in, do check it out.
Dennis, and if there are some developers who are listening to us and who are now getting more and more interested into the Zeta chain, but they would like to learn more, maybe to start building, what would you recommend to them? What would be the first next step? Where to go?
Well, yeah, as I said, the Stack Up educational programs are probably the best way to get up and running. So I would recommend that. And of course, we have a bunch of tutorials in our docs that are well maintained. They show different use cases for zetachain. Of course, cover both cross-chain messaging and omni-chain contracts. And yeah, I encourage everyone to check them out. And if you're interested in Solidity, we have that covered, obviously. But if you're more into front end side of things, kind of building dApps maybe for existing contracts that already have been deployed as zetachain, you can also learn about that. We have some resources coming up soon that will focus on front end.
Perfect. Yeah, just wanted also that you emphasize on this point. If here are some interested people about it, and so that they really hear about it, but also for everybody, Denver, February 28th, if I got it correctly, but also many other events through whole world and popular crypto countries, capitals, cities that is coming there. So you would be able not only to listen about it or to like during our MA session or participate live, to come and to visit live. So I think it's a great opportunity. Don't miss a chance. And in order not to miss the date and place and all the details, one more time follow zetachain page, official page, and also follow Jonathan Dennis, so that you will not miss any details. Or if you would have the questions, you can drop it into the Discord. So let's continue with the questions. And here I would need some your assistance. You had the NFT collection, and I think there is upcoming also NFT collection or not. So are there any interesting, significant NFT collections planned to launch on zetachain? Will it be your collections or it will be from new developers or for some existing collections? So let's start it probably with your existing collection, with your plans, and maybe your plans for NFT market, for NFT collections on the platform.
Yeah, I think in the same way that we don't really want to build a lending borrowing app and these different, like, Dennis is building the tutorials and we can help open source front ends, but ultimately we want to hand off these opportunities to the ecosystem to start up new companies around. I think it's the same with NFT collections. I would love to do fun and cool stuff and collaborate with a cool artist in a particular market. Like, for example, we could do a mainnet Genesis badge and make it more interesting than just like a basic piece of art. I don't know that we're going to be starting up like real NFT projects and collections, but we'll provide the infrastructure and ecosystem partnerships around that. Weave6 being the example. So Weave6 is an NFT marketplace. They launched about a week ago, and you could read up on them. And they are very committed to growing with zetachain and supporting omni-chain smart contract managed NFTs when those come out, including the ability to trade Bitcoin NFTs in DeFi on other networks and support buying and selling NFTs with any token from any chain. So everybody who's building collections and working on stuff in the community, encourage you to launch on that platform, and we can help support that. And then it's worth calling out my profile picture here, the Zeta Knight. Shout out to Stoltz, who came up with the artwork, and I think there's a pretty cool opportunity to build a zetachain community collection around that concept. Zeta Knights was we did a mascot contest maybe like 18 months ago, and Zeta Knight was the winning name, and there's a lot of buzz around it. And yeah, I'm curious to see where the community takes this.
Jeff, nice. And can you share more information about Zeta Knight? I don't know, maybe the launch date and some use cases behind of the collection of the NFT.
Yeah, I'd be asking the same questions. Maybe we got to bring up Alan or Slim or some of the other leaders that are working on it. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think there's a good opportunity, and I think there's a way the zetachain ecosystem can help support it. Different utilities and opportunities.
Perfect. So most probably, hopefully, we will find out soon more information. But here is coming the surprise for everybody who was listening us for all this time, for all our valuable community members. For you, now you get the special bonus and special benefit from Jonathan and from Dennis from the team of zetachain. So now in the comment, Farmer will drop the link to the closed Discord community of Zeta Knight collection, Zeta Knight NFT collection, and you would be very early. Like this Discord community, we're able to join only limited number of listeners of another MA session, and I think this is the second MA session during which the access will be opened only for the next 1 hour. So it's only, or maybe even less. So it's really only for you who is listening to us right now. We are dropping. Farmer will drop now the link in the comments here, and you will be able to join the Discord. So, and most probably you'll be able to get the OG role as being the first one. Right now there are only like 130 members, and you could be really very, very early. And this is a bonus for you, for which we are thankful to Jonathan and to Dennis for such a present to all of the listeners. It's a really great, very great chance for everybody. But another, would you like, by the way, would you like to add anything? Did I say everything correct?
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I've always been super excited about Zeta Knights. I've been rocking this profile picture for a while, so I hope to hold a real one. And yeah, keen to see how this evolves.
Yeah, sure. Fantastic. All right. And okay, let's continue about Zeta tokens. So can you share your vision and interesting ideas to hold and earn Zeta tokens?
I think it's, I'll talk about it from a utility standpoint. At a very high level. I'm not like super familiar, and then pass it to Dennis, but you can do normal staking of Zeta to validators, and Zeta chain's a proof of stake chain, so you can contribute to consensus of Zeta chain, and this functions very similar to how Cosmos works, since Zeta chain is a Cosmos-based chain. We're also seeing interesting projects pop up, like Zeta Earn, and Accumulated Finance is another one that is coming out soon if they haven't already made announcements, and that will support liquid staking. So you stake Zeta and receive back ST Zeta, which you can move around and do stuff like restaking. And then there's a bunch of DeFi protocols popping up, iZoomi, Range Protocol, and these are offering V3 Uniswap pools, including pairs of assets, including ST, Zeta. So you can LP into those and earn rewards. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, in addition to this, when you're using cross-chain messaging, Zeta is the medium of value transfer. So with omni-chain contracts, you deploy tokens as zRC20s to zetachain, but when you're using messaging, it's a system that is separate from omni-chain, but also available to developers. When you want to move value between chains, you first convert it to Zeta. Zeta gets transferred, and then on the receiving end, you can convert that to the destination token. So that's one more thing, one more utility to the token. And also on, I believe Jonathan mentioned this already, but like it's an important part of Zeta Chain, the liquidity pools, right? Both the internal ones and the ones that are provided by third-party contracts. They're important because when you even want to move like the same token from one chain to another, let's say it's USDT and you want to move it from Ethereum to BSC, what you do in fact is you swap between different representations of the same token, right? You're depositing USDT on Zeta chain from Ethereum, and it's one token, then you're swapping for a different token that is a representation of USDC from BSC, and then you withdraw. And for that, you need pools, and Zeta is like this kind of universal medium that you can swap to if you don't have a direct pool. And yeah.
And that is what I like a lot about zetachain, that liquidity pools, new features under the development, all the latest crypto trends and topics which are being discussed, everything is being implemented here and opening access to the different blockchains under the Zeta. It's just really fantastic. So for those who has not tried Zeta, I urge you to do it and to go to the website and do it today.
One other thing.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and this is more of a look forward, and Dennis can tell me if I'm crazy, but there are these popular protocols like Eigen Layer and Babylon Chain where um, you can effectively build these as an omni-chain smart contract on Zeta Chain and stake foreign native assets like Bitcoin or ETH to secure Zeta Chain and earn rewards for participating in consensus. I think this requires some level of protocol work, and I think the team is spinning up a bounty for that. But that's a pretty wild concept. And then one other thing that is being kicked around, one of the hype chains, I think, was doing this, maybe TIA, the concept of ecosystem projects committing a percentage of their token supply to stakers on that chain. And so this could be a cool way for Zeta stakers to participate in all of the new projects that are developing in the ecosystem. So it's something that we're looking at.
Yeah, great. So additional opportunity for everybody. And just another announcement, and I think we have only a few minutes left. So just 1 minute ago, Farmer dropped the link in the comments. You can find it on the Farmer's page. You can find it. The link to the Discord server of main NFT collection on Zeta blockchain, Zeta Night NFT. So it would be available only for 2 hours, only for you who are listening our MA session. So you can enter the link right now. It's available. And as promised, we have identified some top questions. And yeah, thank you for uploading. As usual, you're very active. We got 176 questions. It's really great. The activity is high. Thank you for being so active. Unfortunately, we can't reward everybody, and each question definitely deserves a reward. We have identified, just finished identification of the top questions. We will go through some until we would have some time and answering it. But before we continue, Jonathan, Dennis, focus me on the time when we need to make the hard stop.
30 minutes for me.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, all right. We'll try to finish faster, but let's see how it goes. So we have top 5 questions, and I think we go through it, and then we will be ready to go. Yeah, I see somebody is raising the hands. Well, sorry, we will not be able to now cover all the questions. We have the Google form. You can drop the question in the comments, but preferably go to the zetachain Discord, and also you could find the assistant there. So the first rewarded question is going to be, could other blockchains like Ethereum, or I might misspell it, you would correct me, Avalanche, refuse to interoperate with zetachain? Could this be compatibility? Could this compatibility be disadvantageous for any of the participants?
I'll go first, and then I'm curious for Dennis to check me here technically, but they could refuse to interact with zetachain from a marketing and promotion standpoint, but if it's truly a public decentralized chain, which Ethereum certainly is, and I believe Avalanche as well, the answer is technically no, because zetachain is chain agnostic, and we could do the integration on our own accord. In terms of the consequences, I think there's a lot of positive aspects for the external chain, and that zetachain can help raise the transaction volume and engagement on all of these supported chains. And it gives those users more opportunity to interact across different chains, leveraging zetachain. I'm not really sure about the disadvantages. Maybe stealing, if you even want to use that term, or taking more of the mind share of developers away from building solely on Ethereum or Avalanche, and them spending more time on zetachain could perhaps be viewed as competitive.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I don't think there is a good reason for a chain not to want to integrate with zetachain. Like, if they're building a walled garden, that they're probably not building a blockchain, or at least not a public one. Anyways, on a technical level, the way zetachain integrates with any blockchain is by having an account, and that's it. So this account is owned by validators that sign transactions on behalf of the protocol. So unless this chain bans an account, thus communicating that they don't want to see zetachain's protocol or activity on their chain, like there is no really other way. But yeah, banning accounts is not something any chain should do. So yeah, the short answer is no.
Okay, I also, from my humble opinion, I see only advantages. Okay, so let's continue with the top questions. The next one. So your project is called a Bitcoin killer. What steps are you taking towards this? What will we see in the near future?
So we try not to market zetachain as a killer of any chain. We did have a slogan on the website that said the only blockchain you'll ever need, marketing to developers, which you could make a case for. But yeah, zetachain connects to all chains, and as we were just talking about, it unifies liquidity and user access to applications. And so, yeah, with Bitcoin, we're very much trying to, like the rest of the ecosystem, empower Bitcoin and give it more capabilities than just beyond sending and receiving Bitcoin. And being able to do other stuff with your Bitcoin, like lending and involve that in other DeFi applications. So that is a big focus. You're already seeing apps like Eddy Finance, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a Thorchain equivalent. Of course, zetachain is not as time tested yet, and the app doesn't nearly have as much trading volume or liquidity, but it's on a path to compete with that solution. And then there's a lot of stuff that we're working with partners around to build more sophisticated Bitcoin apps for Bitcoin holders. Multi-chain curve pools involving native Bitcoin, lending and borrowing, I mentioned, and then also Bitcoin-backed stablecoins.
All right, good. Next question, which were chosen as the best ones, as one of the best ones. So zetachain's unique capability is to facilitate message passing and value transfer between any blockchain, including non-smart contract chains like Bitcoin and Dogecoin. So the question is, what mechanisms or protocols are in place to ensure that cross-chain transactions maintain the highest security standards, especially considering the diverse security models and mechanism of the connected blockchains? Like a long question, but it is like this.
Yeah, I can take this one. So the way zetachain approaches interoperability and security is through decentralization, right? So there's no single point of failure. We have validators, a set of validators that's going to grow and become even more decentralized as the chain matures, that have that through TSS, which is threshold signature scheme, they co-own accounts on different chains. So at no point in time any entity has the possession of the key that holds that secures the funds transferred to these addresses. So yeah, through modern technologies like TSS and through decentralization, that's how zetachain manages to be both secure and flexible enough to connect chains like Bitcoin.
Good.
Yeah, and
Yep.
like yeah, zetachain is allowing users and developers to experience the benefits of any chain, but you still have to rely on the security of those networks. Like if Ethereum is compromised in some crazy world, then zetachain would observe and come to consensus on that, and then the zetachain community would have to decide on how to address the incident. Dennis, let me know if I'm missing any pieces here.
Oh, that's accurate.
Okay, let's continue. The next question is, good afternoon, Zeta. I support the idea of claiming XP once a week. It's a good step, but I still can't help but ask, do you think such an influx of users and disruptions to the site is good for you? I mean, with your loyal users stay with you and have you? Is your foundation strong? What is the use of hype if it's easy to build and quickly collapses like a house of cards?
Good afternoon to you. It's not good for the RPC congestion. uh, Two things can be true at once. The creator of zetachain also created BAT attention token, which is has a really strong design, and it's pretty famous. They have incredibly high monthly active users, and it's a really good model. One of the learning experiences was that they could have done a better job talking about those benefits and the sheer number of monthly active users that they have and communicating that to the market. So yeah, it's important to have a good foundation, strong value prop, a working, useful platform and technology and stuff. It's also important to drive attention and awareness and keep things fun and interesting. I think part of moving to the weekly cadence, which I mentioned previously, was the plan for mainnet launch, and then it was switched to daily at the last minute. The thinking behind weekly is that it's not necessary to battle test mainnet like we did on Zeta Labs testnet. And there are some drawbacks to driving artificial traffic, and this is very much a trend in crypto, but at the end of the day, you want to understand genuine user behavior and where they're deciding to transact and absorb gas fees and what products they like to use and stuff. So yeah, the airdrop hunters, in my opinion, will come and then go, and the underlying mission remains to be building solid, good products. And over the long run, the market will judge zetachain on its ability to do that.
Well, it was a good test, but it only shows that we stand in it. It builds a good fundament, like you are saying, for the long run. And yeah, I think it's a good experience. Well, the last question for today, and all all the recent questions which I mentioned, they're going to be rewarded with $100. So if you're here and this is your question, we will identify the authors by the names mentioned in the Google Forms, and we will publish the winners also in our Telegram. So you can follow us over the Telegram if it was your question or not. So we are ready to wrap up. The last question: what role does the zetacoin play in the zetachain ecosystem, and what benefits does it provide to users when transferring between networks as gas and in the staking process?
Yeah, I think it's important. One of the most important things that the most important utilities that the token provides is that you kind of become part of the community, and you get a stake in the decision making process at the end of the day. And I mean, I'm a bit biased towards Cosmos. I think it's a great ecosystem to be a part of, and what we've seen in Cosmos is how actively people participate in governance and decision making. And I think